Here and Now, the program featuring the news and interests of the African American community. Here's your host, Sandra Bookman.
Coming up, mental health and black men, how the Arthur Ashe Institute for Urban Health's Barbershop Talk with Brothers promotes community health and wellness. Plus, Black Farmers United New York State on the impact of the Trump tariffs. Collette's Courage, the new children's book based on the true story of the first African-American female coach in the NFL, will introduce you to its groundbreaking author. And how the 2025 She Did That Holiday Bazaar is elevating Black-owned brands. That's all ahead on Here and Now. Black males are 40% less likely than other men to seek mental health treatments. That's according to the Centers for Disease Control. The Barbershop Talk with Brothers initiative is meeting black men where they are while encouraging them to seek counseling when they need it. More than 100 barbershops in our area are part of the Arthur Ashe Institute for Urban Health outreach program. And joining us today is the CEO of the Arthur Ashe Institute for Urban Health, Dr. Marilyn Frazier, and Jerome Archer, owner of the Platinum Cuts Unisex Salon in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. Thank you both for being here this afternoon. So nice to see you again, Dr. Frazier. If you don't mind, remind our audience of exactly why the Arthur Ashe Institute for Urban Health was established.
Arthur Ashe, the tennis champion, humanitarian activist, started the Arthur Ashe Institute just a few months before he passed away to do what we'll talk about, to educate people within the community, to also increase people of color in the health professions. And we do that through our health promotion work within beauty salons and barbershops by training barbers and stylists to talk to their customers about health, and also to link people to services so that they can obtain care. And then our Health Science Academy is another program that increases people of color in the health professions.
Yeah, I know you've been doing this work for a while, successfully. Yes. Jerome, bringing you into the conversation, why is this a program that you felt like it was important for Platinum Cuts to be a part of?
Mainly because barbershops and salons are mainly where people meet to network and talk and collaborate and figure things out according to what's important in our lives. At the moment, it felt fulfilling to me as a person. Even though I'm the owner of the shop, I'm also seeking help and guidance. So that's why, when Arthur Ashe came to me with
with the idea
of being part of the Barbershop Talk, I jumped right into play.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer. Yeah. So I got to tell you, I think guys gossip more than women do in the barbershop. Tell me I'm right or wrong.
I wouldn't call it gossip.
I know. I'm teasing you. But they do talk to each other, and they talk about a little bit of everything. So were you surprised? So how easy or difficult was it to get your customers to, to listen to the conversation about this and to actually start talking about some of these issues?
It was easy, mainly because we have those conversations already. We just have an ear to hear us. And more of a strong connection or platform where we could trust where we get the information from. It's not just talk no more, it's actually facts.
Or hearsay.
Yes.
Yeah. You said something interesting that when they came to you, had you given much thought to, I don't know, talking to a counselor or, being comfortable talking to somebody about your problems or issues or worries of concern before you, got to be part of this initiative? Had you thought about that at all, or?
At an early age, no.
No, yeah.
Because it wasn't popular. It wasn't something that black men did.
Yeah.
The era of, man up. The era of stop crying, I was raised in that era. But as we move forward, and now I have sons, it's mainly rewarding to be a part of this because it's helping me raise not just my community, but my kids in a truly special way.
Yeah. As you hear that, Dr. Frazier, you have to think, That is exactly what we were after.
Exactly. That is what we want, that people are making that conversation more normal within the community, that is reducing stigma. We know that there's a lot of stigma that's associated with mental health and mental well-being. People just don't talk about it, and people suffer in silence. So yes, this is exactly what we want. We want those conversations happening, and those conversations seeming normal to happen within the community.
Yeah, and I think because we're probably being a little generic and vague here, when we say conversations, we are talking about everything from whether it's health challenges or relationship issues, aren't we? We're talking about a variety of things.
We're talking about a variety of things. We're talking about health. We're talking about things that are happening in the media. We're talking about misinformation. We're talking about things that people may see on the internet, whether that's real or not. We're talking about a whole host of different things that happen within that trusted environment. And so why not guide those conversations? Why not provide the information that's true, the information that's trusted, so that people can get the help that they need?
So Jerome, how long have you been part of the program?
23 years.
Okay, that's impressive.
23 years.
And when it comes to what the guys are talking about as part of this, has that changed at all? Or what are some of the topics that you guys have discussed and over time? Just anything that you remember. And has it changed in the 23 years?
It has changed from us talking about not just jobs, not just relationships. It's more of our personal health, as far as what we put in our body, not just what we eat, what we listen to, what we watch, who we hang around. Those type of conversations are more dominant in the barbershop now, as it wasn't earlier in my career.
Is there anything that's, any issues that are common that keep recurring that maybe surprised you?
The definition of a man keeps changing. Once you hit what you think a man is, the world changes the rules, or changes the narrative, or changes the title. So that puts us in another perspective of mentally gathering ourselves to accomplish the next goal, because it's never going to stop.
And you mentioned that you have sons before, so it was really important to you to take this on and broaden your perspective even about some things. So is it in the barbershop, do we have men of all ages? Do you find that older guys are more reluctant, or younger guys reluctant, or just everybody becomes part of the conversation?
Becomes a part of the conversation, because just because you're older doesn't mean you're more accomplished or educated than a person that's 10 years younger than you. So it starts out as a respect thing. It's a safe zone from any conversation that comes up. There's no bashing or looking down upon. But the conversations are very important, and to close the gap, it has to be ages. That's different. It has to be different perspectives. It has to be different views and experiences, to not come to a conclusion, but come to a better way of living, or a better way of handling things.
Yeah, and a different understanding maybe than what you walked in with, because you've heard from various people of various ages and life experiences.
Life experience, time zones and things of that nature.
So I have to ask you, Marilyn, how do you, this is part of your larger initiative, do you provide the experts, for lack of a better word? Do you, how does that happen? Do you schedule a time that this is going to happen with the barbershop? How does that work?
Yes, so we do provide the experts, we provide the training for the barbers, we provide the resources for them, and also work with the barbers to schedule a time that's appropriate for them.
Yeah, that works.
Not just like, okay, we're working from 9 to 5, and so we want to go in at 2 p.m. and they're saying, well, no one is there at that time. You have to come in on a Saturday afternoon, or you have to come in evening. So we work with the barbers, and for the other program, work with stylists as well to schedule the time that works for them. We provide the training, we provide the resources so that people can be linked to services.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, like almost a no-brainer. It just makes sense,
It makes sense.
There's a stat here According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, in 2021, the death rate from suicide for Black men was more than 4 times higher than for Black women. When you hear something like that, Jerome, does it, I guess, help you to even feel better about the fact that you decided more than 20 years ago that this was important to be a part of the solution? You know, that statistic is just crazy to me.
Daunting.
And some of that is likely people that didn't know where to go for help or know to ask for help.
Yes.
You know, does that make you feel even better about the work that you have been doing for these last 20, 23 years, not just for your family, but for your community?
It does, and such a high, value, because I get to see the results. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, but I get to see the results and get to speak to Dr. Frazier and the team to strategize to, okay, this isn't working anymore. This is something that I think or that I see, and we have our community meetings or just small conversations, and again, we come up with what's next. And I'm very proud to say I'm part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. You are just in the work that you do and the service you provide to the folks in your community. I do have to ask, is there something similar, because hair salons, we're talking about everything there when we're not, a similar situation?
Yeah, so something similar is happening in the hair salons too. And yeah, we do talk about
women talk, I think we talk more about everything.
We talk, and so something similar is going on there as well.
Yeah.
We've done these paint and heal sessions, both in the barbershops and the salons, so that people can paint, and while they're doing that, it reminds them of play a little bit. And while they're doing that, they're hearing about strategies to relieve stress and coping mechanisms and so forth. So it's really exciting.
And this is really, this program is emblematic of what Arthur Ashe was hoping to do when he established the Institute, right?
Exactly. The same things that he was hoping to do in terms of people going out into the community, meeting people where they are, where they congregate, and doing health promotion that impacts people's lives so that we can change and move that needle when we think about health disparities and health inequities.
And maybe save some lives.
And save some lives.
If I send folks to arthurasheinstitute.org, they can find a lineup of the many programs that you offer, find out a little bit more about the Institute itself. And Jerome, your barbershop is in Bed-Stuy. Tell me the address again.
The address is 508A Nostrand Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11216.
Platinum Cuts. Inc. All right. Thank you both for joining us this afternoon. And
my pleasure.
Bless you for doing really important work. You didn't know you'd be saving lives when you were cutting hair and shaving folks, did you?
No.
But you are.
But I am.
Changing them too. Thank you both.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. For more than a century, the Urban League of Essex County has provided vital services that promote economic advancement and stability. And now with federal funding cuts impacting nonprofit organizations nationwide, the League, like many other organizations, is facing some challenges. Here with more on how her organization plans to continue providing the needed services is the president and CEO of the Urban League of Essex County, Vivian Cox Frazier. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
When you say Urban League, you immediately think of getting things done. No. And based on the long list of services that you guys have provided in Essex County for, what did it say, more than a century, you are used to being able to get things done. With some of the funding cuts that we've heard so much about in the last few months, is that impacting your organization?
Absolutely. So many of the vital services we provide, so generally speaking, the Urban League has been a social service organization. Over the years, we transitioned to be social service, community development, also housing. But the social services really are the safety net programs for families, and those generally are provided by the government. So recently, we've lost a significant amount of funding, more than $2 million in funding related to our seniors program. So low-income seniors who need that support to help get back into the workforce are now, that program was cut. And we're still trying to negotiate to get that funding back up. But right now, over 200 seniors were impacted by that cut.
And how, so when you lose funding for a program as important as that, you still have it in the back of your mind, we got to figure out how to help those people.
Yes,
what do you
yes.
do? Do you try to go to private donors? Do you figure out how to rejigger the finances that you do have on hand to try to make them spread a little bit farther?
Yeah, I like that term, rejigger. I actually tell people, it's like nonprofit Tetris, right? So, and I've been doing it for 20 years at the Urban League, and that means like you may generally lose funding for one program, and you try to backfill it with other funding. The situation we're in right now is more of a crisis situation, which is almost every program that we provide, from early childhood programs to seniors programs, after school program, all those fundings are being cut. So it makes it even more difficult to try to backfill, to try to just juggle and to jigger what you're saying, because there are many, many moving pieces. And the program for the seniors was really significant because it actually placed those seniors in organizations, and they were paid 20 hours a week wages. So we can't necessarily replace that, but the Urban League has a holistic approach to helping families. So the seniors that are being placed, we have workforce development, financial coaching, planning services, housing services. So we know that those seniors, now that they've lost their income, they're going to need support in housing and employment. And those are other services that the Urban League wraps around. So generally speaking, we're all hands on deck to wrap around other services, to refer the seniors to other programs. And also, we also do seek private donations and funding to continue all the programs.
And how open and how open to these private sector folks have they been to contributing and providing some of the funding, or are you still in the process of trying to figure out who can help, where, how they can help? Because again, just about every, especially nonprofits, are going through this situation. And a lot of it is not out of meanness, or some of it is just, if the state doesn't have the money to give you, they can't give you the money. If the county doesn't have the extra money to give you, they can't give it to you. So that's the position that you find yourselves in. So how are you seeing members of the private sector, private companies, individuals step up, trying to help replace some of those lost funds?
Yeah, so many of the supporters of the Urban Leagues, we get corporate funding as well as foundation funding. Many of those entities have, in fact, increased their donations and contributions to the Urban League because they know we are actually in this position, right? And the vital services that people have depended on, we want to continue to provide, and our supporters want us to be able to be in the position to do that. But just like some funders have stepped up, some actually, the environment has had some pull back.
And some of that, I can imagine, we've talked with other guests here, some of the DEI bans have really impacted how and where companies give, at least in the short term, I guess, until they can figure out how to navigate these new waters. I just wanted to touch on some of the programs, because we keep saying that you guys do a whole lot, and you've done this for a long time. The food pantry that happens every Thursday, that's one of those things that are one of those services that's even more important these days.
Sure. Right. We hadn't always we didn't always have a pantry, but in the pandemic was when we realized that families really needed it. So that's when we started with the pantry services. But I'll say the pantry is also part of a holistic approach to improving health, and we also have community gardens and things like that, all are focused around helping people to improve their health and to advance economically.
Yeah. Also, you mentioned it before, the early childhood education, and an important resource, I can imagine, for parents in Essex County.
Yeah, from infants and toddlers all the way to preschoolers, we have an early childhood program, and that program actually, because of the federal cuts, of families that are seeking to enroll their child and to get child care subsidies, as of August 1, you can't enroll. They're not taking any new enrollments. So a young mother with a baby now cannot now get subsidy for her child to go in child care. So how does she go back to work? I mean, this is really the situation that we're facing.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you pointed it out that it has a domino effect.
Absolutely.
In so many ways in the community. And you mentioned the Affordable Housing Development Program, didn't you, for seniors?
Yes, so we do build housing. So we focus a lot on home ownership because the Urban League really is focused on helping families advance economically. And so we build affordable housing, and we've completed several homes for home ownership.
And before I let you go, I do want you to touch on your the annual gala event. That's one of your most important fundraisers. That's in October.
Yes, so we have our annual fundraiser, and it is our major way to raise unrestricted money. So actually, in this time of programs being cut, it is more important than ever as a source of funds for the organization. It's October 21st. So it'll be at Nanina's in the Park, and we certainly encourage people to buy tickets, tables, sponsorships, ads, and a great time, a way to actually promote and support the organization, and to actually give you a chance to see the Urban League's work in action as well.
Yeah, you guys are in action for sure. The website is ulec.org. That's Urban League of Essex County.org, ULEC. Buy tickets to the gala and donate. And take a look at some of the programs that are wonderful programs that are available. Thank you so much for talking with us this afternoon.
I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back. Black farmers account for less than 2% of all farmers in the U.S., according to a U.S. Department of Agriculture Economic Research Service report. Historically, black farmers have dealt with challenges accessing capital and even land ownership, and now many fear that Trump tariffs will threaten their ability to compete. Black Farmers United New York State advocates for ownership, policy development, and networking. Here to tell us more is Martha Williams, Executive Director of Administration and Programming for Black Farmers United. Martha, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me on.
So if somebody asked you to describe the state of black farmers in New York, what would you say at this point?
I would say it's a bit mixed. Part of it is that we're doing well supporting each other, as we always had to, because our government has always discriminated against us. But we're also struggling in some ways, in part due to legislation that has been taking away even more resources like land and funding from us, and also from the lack of markets that we have access to, like cutting programs like the Local Food Purchase Assistance Cooperative Agreement Program and others like that allow us to access markets and have governments purchase from us smaller local farmers, black farmers in New York State.
So when we talk about black farmers in New York, can you give me an estimate of how many folks we're talking about, whether that's by actual numbers or acreage, however, what measure would you use?
Sure, it's under 200. We make up about 0.27% of all New York State farmers. And that's about a 47% decrease over the last century and only a very slight increase from 2017 during the last New York State or USDA agriculture census.
And why do you think we are seeing the number of black farmers drop, not just in New York State, but around the country?
Yeah, it's definitely in part due to discrimination. And I would say before, like I'm mentioning the mention of cutting different programs that are important to funding the work that we do, but also because of things like heirs property law that takes away land that has been in families for generations. One person decides to sell it and suddenly all the land is gone. And then in addition to that, they don't necessarily have access to the educational resources or the financing. So you may want to apply for a loan through the Farm Service Agency, and you might have you're more likely, if you're a black farmer, to have that loan denied. Like we have cases here in New York State that speak to that, like with Liberation Farm. And we also have people not able to access the resources of learning the educational technical skills of agriculture. So we have different organizations that work towards that, like Farm School NYC, but then because they have cuts in funding, they aren't able to really address the immense interest that people have in farming. So they might want to get started, but they don't know how, and there aren't resources for them. And when they go to places that are supposed to provide those resources, they're rejected.
Now, one of the things you talk about the lack of funding and long-term discrimination. Yes. There was a remedy for that. The $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan Act that was signed by former President Joe Biden, and it set aside billions in debt relief to try and help some of these disadvantaged farmers and also address the USDA's history of discrimination. What is the status of that funding?
Many of our farmers have never seen it. And I know that wasn't because there are individuals within those agencies that really care to give that funding to them. And it's not that they didn't want to, but because of the pipeline and how the funding comes down it just never really reached us. And when you're cutting even more programs that are set aside for us because it's considered DEI to include us within things, we're not seeing that funding. It's missing our organizations. It's going to very large organizations that admit to not serving Black farmers because they're not in our communities. They don't see us. They don't know where we are.
So your feeling is a lot of that money, at least some of that money, essentially went to some of the agencies that were doing the discriminating.
Yes.
Under the current administration, there's been talk amongst many organizations about funding cuts from the federal government. What funding cuts have impacted your members?
Our members specifically. I would say that some of the biggest ones had been personal, I wouldn't say personal, but very specific contracts between our organizations. For example, with our organization, Black Farmers United New York State, we had a contract with the NRCS, which is the Natural Resources Conservation Service, and we were going to put on this big conference that was based on the Black Urban Growers Conference, which is an annual conference that happens all across the country that bring across lots of different farmers and other people engaged in agriculture that may have gardens that are community gardens that aren't necessarily recognized as farms but are feeding their communities as well. And then when this new administration came, because we were speaking to specifically the needs of Black farmers and farmers of color, smaller farmers in New York State, it was considered DEI and that funding was cut. Our contract was terminated and then we weren't even able to get reimbursed, and it's still up in the air as to whether we'll ever see that money. And very similar stories have happened with other organizations like Corbin Hill Food Projects, like Farm School NYC, like Northeast Farmers of Color Land Trust, where you have these contracts where you're bringing funds directly to farmers, the farmers that we know and personally work with, or our farmers ourselves, and those contracts were cut. They were terminated without much warning at all, and then we're not even sure if the money that we have spent will be brought back to us because we were committed in those contracts.
As folks listen to the story of Black farmers, this history of discrimination, this history of having a hard time getting money that is much easier for other farmers to get, farmers from other communities to get, why should we care? Why is it important, in your estimation, for people to acknowledge what is happening with Black farmers and really advocate on their behalf?
Because Black farmers are in all of our communities, whether we see them or not. We have a distribution within Buffalo, within Ithaca, New York, within Albany area, Hudson Valley, so on and so forth. And they're feeding our communities. It could be as small as an organization in Newburgh, our core, where they bring like dozens of youth from different towns together, and they're learning about how to grow, and they bring home food to their families who would otherwise be food insecure. It's bigger farms that work together and are shipping food to Harlem from upstate, which is a market that we have going on with Corbin Hill Food Project and other organizations. And they're there showing up. They're a part of those communities. We have some of the worst food insecurity in the same areas where we have our Black farmers, like Rochester, New York, and they're there every day out there with them in those communities, being a part of them, living there and feeding them and teaching them how to use things that they might have forgotten how to use through generations of lost knowledge because of people having to move to different locations, not being able to sit down with their family members and learn about that knowledge that they had acquired over the years of being here and before we were even brought to this country to begin with. So it's important because these people are feeding us. They're our local farmers too.
And how can someone listening to this interview today not only find out more about the issue, more about the farmers that are in their areas around the state, how can they get involved with helping you on your mission?
I think one of the best ways they can get involved to start is to go onto our website and sign up for our supporters list. If you're interested in joining our membership, we'll be opening that up again soon. And then you'll be able to get involved with different policies that we're working on, like the Good Food New York bill, like the New York State urban agriculture bill and other youth and ag bill. And you could also get involved with things like material swaps, and where you just be able to share things like seeds and other tools. You can get involved by actually going to those farms like that are across New York State and buying from them, showing up to their farm to help with community work days. You can give money to their organizations, since so many of the funds that are supposed to get to them are not getting to them. And I would also say just buying locally, knowing who's around you, looking at the map on our website, connecting with other organizations, and being there, showing up for them physically and financially and all these other different ways.
Martha Williams, Executive Director of Administration and Programming for Black Farmers United, New York State. Thank you so much for talking with us about this important issue this afternoon. And again, we want to send folks to your website, blackfarmersunited.org. Martha, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll be right back. Our next guest is a true trailblazer. She has defied the odds on and off the field as a professional football player, the first African-American female NFL coach, and the first woman to coach the New York Jets. Collette V. Smith truly followed her own playbook, and now in a new book for young readers, Colette's Courage, she is encouraging others to follow their own passions, no matter how different or impossible they may seem to others. Joining us today is founder and president of Believe in You, also author Collette V. Smith. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You're wearing a different hat today.
Yes,
I guess you put it on top of your football helmet, your coaching cap,
right.
And now you're an author.
Yeah, it's quite different for me.
Yeah, but it was important to you.
Absolutely.
Why?
To tell our children that they matter, to let them know that their words, their choices matter, and that just believe in themselves.
Mm-hmm. When did you decide your football was what you wanted to do? How old were you?
I was little. I was probably about 5 or 6 years old. I just loved football.
Did you like the idea of getting hit or the idea of hitting?
I like the idea of hitting people legally.
Legally hitting people. And what did your parents say? Did they go with it, or were they like, are you sure?
My mother was kind of on the fence. Mm-hmm. My dad just looked at me and said, yeah, that sounds about right, you know. And so, I wanted their blessing. They didn't give it to me or not give it to me, but it was just something that I naturally wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. And I got to think, just because of the way we are as a society, that you ran into a lot of roadblocks when you were trying to make this your actual career.
Yeah.
But that didn't deter you.
No. I mean, as a Black woman, there are roadblocks already for everything that we do. So this was just another one of the many roadblocks that, to me, it wasn't anything outside the norm for someone to tell me you can't do that. That's not going to happen.
And you played professional football. Mm-hmm. Your team was
the New York Sharks.
New York, yeah.
Yeah.
And was it what you always dreamed it would be when you were actually out there on the field with teammates?
It was everything and more. Mm-hmm. It was so many more things that I ever even imagined it would be. Sisterhood, community, family. You're out there with these women practicing 3-4 times a week. Mm-hmm. You get to know them very well. They become, then they're in your house eating all your food. We cried together, we laughed together, we championed things together. So it was a blessing.
Yeah, and you. What positions do you play?
I was a safety, and
mm-hmm.
I also was on special teams.
Yeah. And, I think that people will always say, wow, it's women. It's not going to be like the men. Was it as rough and tough?
We're better. We're better. We were better than the men because
mm-hmm.
I feel like we were more passionate and we had something to prove.
Okay.
So for us, there was a chip on our shoulder about that.
Yeah. So, and it wasn't, because you think, the men are, they're bigger, they're stronger, so it's going to be a different game. But no. You guys
4 quarters.
Yeah.
Everything exactly the same. I would say the only difference is that women didn't get paid to play. That's the difference. We had no marketing, we had no money, everything we scraped together was on our backs. Mm-hmm. And we had to hold down 9-to-5 jobs.
Yeah, in order to be
everybody, was there, attorneys, teachers, accountants, real estate agent, everybody had, imagine leaving work with a business suit on and then going to the football field.
But again, a lot of this for pretty much everybody was playing because it was about passion.
It was passion. It was about passion, yeah.
And so then you made the transition to coaching.
Yeah, that was
the
tough.
NFL.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I first started coaching my women.
Yeah, I knew that.
My team. That was hard because they were my peers.
Yeah.
But the guys in the NFL were all very respectful. It was amazing. I mean, the men were cheering for me. To hear these NFL football players say, you know, I've never thought about playing football with my daughters. And I'm like, why not? And they said, I just never thought about it. Yeah. But seeing me out there, knowing that I played pro football, knowing that I loved it from an early age, they would tell me, you know, I'm going to start playing football with my daughter now. So the change is good sometimes.
Yeah, well, no, but you sort of educated them. And they were probably impressed with your knowledge of the game.
Yeah.
Is there a time, because you coach for the Jets, they need
Used
some
to.
help right now?
Used to. Look,
Yes, coach.
we're not in good shape right now.
No, we are not in
Yeah.
good shapes right now. But you have a favorite moment from that time?
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah, I would say that my most special moment is probably me packing my car and driving to New Jersey to go to Jets training camp. Like, this is where I'm going, and I'm not coming home for a while. I'm there. Just the pridefulness, you know, the joy driving there. My dad calling me, you know, saying, are you almost there? Like, that was like, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he believed in that dream for you.
Certainly did.
From the very beginning.
He certainly did.
That says a lot.
Yeah.
Very special dad.
Uh-huh.
Really and truly is. And I think that when I read your book, I got that feeling in the book.
Good.
No, that this little girl had that kind of support from her parents. Collette, it was you.
Yeah.
It was this little girl. It was you. And is that some of what you wanted to impart, I guess, not only to the kids reading the book, but the adults too?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The vision behind my debut children's book, Colette's Courage, was to show people that you're powerful and that we can all handle and do anything if we put our minds to it. And for any child out there that doesn't have the right support, you know, unfortunately there are situations like that. I wanted to show them what it looks like. And lean on us. You can lean on me. You are me in this instance with this book. So I wanted to definitely showcase some words of wisdom that my parents gave to me with other kids.
Yeah, and I for me, I also got the thought that remind kids that, you know, you may have something in your head, you think it's silly because nobody else is doing this and you don't know who to say. Speak up.
Yeah, speak up.
You know, because
use the power in your voice. Use the power in your voice. And because you know what happens? What happens is regret. Regret comes in. So if you don't speak up, whether it's in class or at the dance studio, whatever you're doing, and you don't use that opportunity to speak up, you're going to regret it later on. I wish I would have spoken up. So I want kids to learn early. Use the power in your voice. If you want something to get done, you speak up and say it and make it happen.
And having seen this, you know, this career of yours, are you encouraging young women, young girls to think about football, to think about?
Not necessarily. So it's really football is just like the vehicle, for, you know. But it could, that football represents, you could be a doctor, you could be an astronaut, you could be a lawyer,
veterinarian.
You can be the president of the United States of America. Well, anybody can at this point, but you know.
That's a conversation for another segment.
Good grief, yeah. So it's just letting them know that whatever it is you want to do, you can
do it. Yeah.
No one gets to tell you no.
Yeah, and not only, this is, again, the book I thought was a great lesson. Not only is it about you're getting support from your friends and your family, but you can also be that support for a friend or a family by encouraging them. No, it's not silly.
It isn't.
You know.
Right, and so my two little best friends in the book, Natalie and Emily, those are true friends when I was a little girl. And they were good kids, and we were also very different, but that's what brought us together. Is that, you know, and we look, I got bullied with the boys wanting to play football. You know, I got bullied, and they were my support system. I mean, who thinks about that at 8 or 10 years old, that you have a support system outside of your home.
Well, that kids don't call it that, but you kind of do.
Yeah.
They just generally don't think of it that way,
Right.
you know. And basically, your book says to you, yeah, that's your gang. That's your, you know.
That was my tribe.
Yeah.
That was my tribe.
Now, so can we expect to see another book here? Because I
Yeah.
heard, believe me, I heard you say inaugural.
Yes, yes. So there are 2 more coming. So this is the first of the Collette series. So Colette's Courage, we're going to have Colette's Huddle Up afterwards, and there'll be a 3rd book. So there's a Collette series. This is the first one. Colette's Courage is right out the gate first, and I got 2 more coming. Plus, I'm still working on my life story. That has been more complicated than I could ever imagine.
Well, I applaud you for writing it. Because I don't want to, first of all, I'm not going to be honest in mine, so that's why I'm just not even doing it. I probably shouldn't say that out loud. But I want to go back to a question I asked you, and you said, no, you're not necessarily encouraging girls to play football. It's for you to find your own individual passion. But I would ask you, would you like to see more girls?
Yes, absolutely. I would love to see more girls playing football. Love it. I mean, yes, because you know what happens is the world has told us that there are certain boxes you can go in, certain boxes you can't go in, and I want to eliminate that for everybody. And honestly, to tell you the truth, girls make the better football players.
Really? Why do you say that?
Because we ask more questions. We want to know the reasons why. We don't just run through a brick wall. Why? What is the purpose of doing this, right? So girls ask more questions, and we're just sharper.
Okay. And just watching the game, can you learn it? I mean, I feel like I know the game.
Oh, well, that's a no. So no, the answer is no. I thought I knew everything there was to know about football because I watched it all my life with my dad. When I got on a football team, and there are 12 coaches, and there are acronyms, I had no idea what they meant. Yeah. I knew nothing. In fact, I would say the first week, I felt like I don't know anything about football. And I learned so much from it. That's what made it so much more exciting.
But you had the love for it already, so you were open to all of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you before I let you go about Believe in You.
Believe in You Incorporated, it functions as a nonprofit. Everyone thinks it is.
And what do you mean when you say it functions as a nonprofit?
Social philanthropy. So for me, I'm visiting juvenile detention centers. Okay. I'm visiting schools. I'm all over the place. So kids call me. I have little mentees out here. Parents will contact me. Can you help my kids through this moment, or can we talk to you? So, yeah, and Believe in You Incorporated also, I get big sponsors to come and ask me to do their keynotes for their national conference or their regional conferences. So, universities.
Why is this work important to you?
Spreading the word that, I came through a rough patch in my life with a lot of different things that I've worked through. And I realized that broken crayons still color. And I'm happy that I discovered it, but I want to share that with other people. You know when you have a piece of pie that's just so delicious, and you want everybody to taste it? So I want everybody to taste the power that they have inside.
That is honestly so well put. But you are not a broken crayon.
Thank you.
Good analogy, but you're not a. BNY-Inc.com, right? And Colette's Courage, we can find it wherever
you can find it on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, bookstores, libraries.
Can't wait to see those other 3 books.
Thank you.
Somehow I think there's a movie or a film or a
working on that too.
Something coming.
Working on that too.
So nice to see you again. Thank you. You're such a great guest, so enthusiastic, and I'm glad that you spend so much time spreading the word about people being their own best advocates.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And we'll be right back. With the holiday shopping season upon us, the largest holiday marketplace in the country dedicated to showcasing Black women-owned brands is once again preparing to kick off. And for the 2nd year in a row, the She Did That Holiday Bazaar will also feature exceptional men's brands. This year's celebration of culture and community is dedicated to fighting hunger and food insecurity. Here to tell us more, the founder of She Did That, Renee Blewett, along with Chief Visionary Officer of the Black Man Can Inc., Dr. Brandon Frame. thank you both for being with us again. It's nice to see you, and it's also nice to be talking about something that is good news for a change, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to let each of you, if you could briefly just tell us, our viewers, a little bit about your individual organizations. And we'll start with you.
Sure. So thank you so much for having us back on the show. She Did That is a multimedia platform centering Black women entrepreneurs with a focus on Black women-owned businesses. It started as a documentary that is still available on Apple TV, but it's also an ecosystem, and we produce events year-round, and just super excited to be here to talk to you about this year's Holiday Bazaar.
Yeah, the 9th year for the Holiday
9th.
Bazaar. And Dr. Frame?
The Black Man Can is a nonprofit organization focused on Black men and boys. We do programs, events, and content to celebrate our excellence, our brilliance, and all the ways that we're showing up in the world.
Yeah, and it almost sounds like just a no-brainer, how do I say it? A no-brainer teamwork.
Yes.
That the two of you, it fits right in there.
Yes.
So why did you feel like it was important? You've been doing it almost a decade to really put together this event for these Black female creators.
Sure. Well, this is the thing. You have so many incredible businesses that are being launched by Black women, but throughout the year, you're mostly shopping them online. And I know from being a marketer, people are more likely to buy from a brand when they know the founder and they know the story, right? So we created this space for people to come and not only shop for themselves, but, start their holiday shopping and also get to know the people behind the brands that we know and love and shop from all year round.
Yeah.
So that's really the big reason for the event. And then, with everything that's happening in the world, we last year decided that we wanted to bring men into the community with the launch of the He Did That marketplace. So this year, we have the honor of collaborating with Dr. Brandon Frame and the Black Man Can. I really couldn't have imagined a better collaborator for this. And so we're just super excited to introduce these men's businesses and partner with Dr. Frame to tell their stories.
Yeah, when you saw what they were doing, were you like, I want to be a part of that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I saw the opportunity, even last year, writing a story about it on our website, and then this year now being able to be a partner to elevate the stories of these Black men and their businesses, it's just perfect. It fits right with our mission, our ethos, and what we want to do to promote the positive images of Black men and boys.
Yeah, a lot of unfortunately, over this last year, a lot of female-owned, minority-owned businesses have lost funding.
Yes.
There's just a concerted effort to do away with DEI. So they've lost a lot of the funding and support that they were used to getting for the good work that they had been doing. How, if at all, has that impacted your efforts in putting this event together? Or have you been able to just pivot and do what you needed to do regardless of where support from outside of your communities was coming from?
Right. So I do have to be honest. I think I know that we've experienced kind of a decrease in support from some of our corporate partners, but for me, it just really means that we need to double down on the work. It means that we really need to lock arms with other organizations in our community to fill in those gaps because we need each other now more than ever.
Yeah.
So this is not a deterrent for me. It is not going to slow down the work. In fact, it encourages us to just push on the gas a little bit more because these opportunities to come together are just so critical, right? Like it builds your morale. You're reminded that you're not alone in some of the challenges that come with entrepreneurship. And we want these founders to end the year on the highest note possible. And this event allows them to do that.
Yeah. And Dr. Frame, talk to us a little bit about what these Black men-owned brands, what are some of the people that we're going to meet that are going to be at that marketplace?
Oh, it's amazing. So we have Maya Winston, and we have handbags, and they've made special handbags just for the Holiday Bazaar. We have God Came Through, Kofi Genfi out of New Jersey, powerful brand. It's really faith-based. Moore's Brewing. So, I mean, the list goes on of these really powerful brands, and they're all unique and different. And I think that's what's going to be really special about the He Did That marketplace, is seeing these different Black men and the uniqueness and the innovation that they're bringing to their brands and to the spaces that they occupy.
Yeah, and I think I'm a shopper, okay? And I think you said something important. It really is nice when you can I shop online
Yes.
on occasion, but when you can put your hands on it, you can talk to somebody about the product, and especially if it's something that you sort of are familiar with, and you get a chance to talk to them and touch it, you know, in person.
Yes.
One of the things, so tell me some of your folks, I know you've got a lot of people, look, if you're doing it 9 years, they're coming back year after year.
Oh my gosh, we have so many return merchants, but we have some new merchants in the fold. So this hat, which I am absolutely loving, is by a brand born to roam, founded in Los Angeles, California. So the founder, Jennifer, is going to be joining us. We have Brooklyn Tea, we have the Sable Collective, we have Zuri Rose, we have something for children, adults, everyone in between. And going back to what you mentioned earlier, we talked about the storytelling piece of this. This year, we're also proud to be collaborating with Madame Noir. So while we're telling the men's stories on the Black Men Can, the women are also getting editorial features with Madame Noir. And every week we're rolling out different categories for this She Did That Holiday Shopping Guide, powered by Madame Noir. So it's really just this beautiful opportunity to not only make money, it's commerce, but it's also storytelling, which is, one of my first loves. So I'm happy to be able to bring all of that together for this beautiful moment.
And I want to send folks to shedidthatholiday25.eventbrite.com.
Yes.
That's where you can get tickets.
Absolutely.
And the event, Saturday, December 6th, Industry City, 3330 5th Street, Brooklyn.
Yes.
All right. I got a feeling it's going to be your biggest one yet.
Well, thank you. We appreciate
Thank you both
that.
for sitting down with us this afternoon.
Thank you for having us.
And happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us on Here and Now. If you missed any portion of today's show, you can watch at abc7ny.com/hereandnow or listen to our podcast wherever you subscribe. If you'd like to comment or share your story, email us at hereandnow@wabc.com or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Sandra Bookman. Enjoy the rest of your day.